Now, lessons in meditation are being introduced to primary schools in order to prevent dysfunctional behaviour in later life. So-called mindfulness lessons will help children to reflect and look inward. Also, new research has shown that parents who experience career burnout are passing their feelings of disillusionment onto their children, resulting in them losing interest in schoolwork and becoming cynical and stressed. So, is stress becoming something we should keep away from children? And do you think meditation can help?
I'm not sure about meditation. That sounds a bit silly, doesn't it? But I do think that kids need help at some point. You know, kids that don't come from very good homes and they don't have parents at home that can help. In fact, the parents don't want them. Their only place they've got, their only salvation is school. And I think then they're going to need help there. And if, you know, if they don't get it at home... I mean, I had a point when I had very bad times with my ex, and Keely was at home with me, obviously, and I remember one terrible row, and this is what brought it home to me, and we were rowing and screaming at each other. It was just awful, awful. And in the end, Keely was only 8, and she went, "Please, stop! Stop, please!" And I went, oh, and I just realised then what I'd done, you know, and that she was taking it all in. And it was so selfish of us to scream and shout at each other in front of an 8-year-old. But because of the stress at home, it never occurred to me what I was doing. Now, that's wrong of me, I know. But the thing is, she had me, but some kids don't. They come from homes where they have no help, nobody loves them, so where are they going to go? Somebody's got to help these kids, haven't they?
But teaching meditation in schools is kind of saying, oh, you are going to be stressed, so here we are, let's teach you to meditate so you can be calm when you have to different with it.
No, you don't meditate just because you're stressed. Sometimes, I mean, if you look at other cultures, there are a lot of, different religions.
Something that hasn't happened yet.
But let's not call it meditation then. Let's call it some kind of help.
I mean, there are stressed kids. I think that, I mean, there's obviously a problem that needs to be... Well, because, I mean, it's not just because of us and Sherry. I don't think you should give yourself a hard time, because I think, you know, as parents, it's impossible to keep everything hidden from the kids. Sometimes it just gets too much and it comes out. And even when you do think you've hidden it, it's almost like they're psychic. They pick up on body language and they know it's going on anyway. And in some ways, I think, you know, giving a kid the whole truth rather than giving them snippets of information that they go away on their own, worry about, put 2 and 2 together and make 100, is a lot worse. I think meditation's daft because I think, you know, talking is better than chanting. But I do think that there's a place in schools for pastoral care to deal with the problem.
That's exactly what I mean. Pastoral care is what should be there.
Yeah.
Surely it is now.
And I do need to learn to cope
I think we're getting a little bit distracted with the term meditation. I mean they're saying it's going to be called mindfulness lessons, and I think in old days you called it quiet time. You know, where kids could just sit still for a minute
and somebody to talk to.
I think that's
having somebody to talk
thing.
to, which they probably haven't got at home. Surely that's what it means, isn't it?
They do in schools, though. I mean, in my daughter's class, for years they've had this thing, and I've talked about it on a show called Circle Time, which they do every Friday. Yeah. All the kids sit down and they all share with each other the things that have worried them, either about home or school or anything.
God, I'm so glad I got kids.
And it is
I do. I'm reading the paper all the time. Kids are having happiness lessons because they're all depressed. And, you know, I've even got friends who have said their children are depressed. You know, they've been diagnosed. They're kids. You know, I know it's like, oh, the good old days and all of that, but when I was little, kids weren't stressed, they weren't depressed, they just got on with it. And actually, you know, all kids experience something bad. You have to. You can't... Everything can't be great all the time. Otherwise, you think life is all rosy and perfect all the time. You've got to have bad stuff, and you've got to be able to learn to deal with it. You know, and then, like, going...
But how do you learn to deal with it?
And also, how can you...
Yeah, well, the
I think all that's
parents
happening now
have
is
to
we put a
teach
name
them
to
what
deal
if
with
there aren't
it.
any parents? What if their home is so bad? Where do those
but
kids
they're
go?
different. It's different, Sherry. Those are kids who, you know, they are kids who need help.
That's
and then
all I'm saying.
socially they need help. But, you know, you can't go to a school and take every single pupil in the class and assume that they've all got those problems. And if they haven't got them, they might have them one day. So let's give them meditation lessons or whatever.
So then you're going to split the school up into kids, and that's going to make the kids that come from really bad homes feel far worse if they're actually segregated into their own...
I think the point that you were making, you know, you were saying about the good old days, I think the difference is now is we give names to things that maybe in the, you know, 50s, 60s, 70s, you talk about everyone had bad times. Nowadays, we call it, you know, dysfunctional families or children suffering from depression. I think really the symptoms and what's caused them has always been there. Now we just have
I think we deal with the problems in a different way. We try to entertain them by buying them gadgets and keeping them amused and occupied, rather than actually having quiet time at home where you say, you're not right, is there something worrying you? Because kids just disappear off on computers and all the other stuff, and they get lost in that world. It's up to us.
Stimulated. They need to be bored now and again, and they need to be able to make conversation and communicate, which they don't, because they're always doing that.
You're always doing that. She's always
all right, but I can talk. Look.
Twitter this, Twitter that, Twitter.
That's a matter of opinion.
OK, it's competition time. And